Hello everyone, my name is Braden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video we're going to talk about the guardian of that which must endure, the Iron Golem. In this video we're going to take a look at the 2024 stat block for the Iron Golem. I'll then talk about what changes have been made to it since its 2014 version, and talk about whether or not those changes are benefits or detriment to the current stat block. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk briefly about Iron Golems. So for Iron Golems, they are meant to defend important sites and objects. Their magical cores are protected by mighty armor. And these golems are forged in bipedal forms, the details of which are decided on by their creators. Many resemble armored guardians or legendary heroes. Iron Golems confront their foes with a combination of overwhelming physical force and eruptions from their magical core. These magical blasts take the form of fiery bolts and poisonous emissions, though it would be fairly easy to modify these for them to do something else. Iron Golems preserve and protect their charges for generations. We are given a table to roll on in the 2024 Monster Manual called the Iron Golem Orders Table. This is to help Dungeon Masters inspire what commands an Iron Golem follows. This is a 1d4 table, and it states that the Iron Golem follows orders to block a door that has never been opened, moving only when a prophecy is fulfilled. Exhale poisonous gas whenever it can, pausing only when someone speaks a passphrase. Pose as a statue until a community's hour of greatest need. Stand atop a resting place of a powerful magical item. So those are 4 options available there, but it could be any other reason that an Iron Golem is following orders. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the 2024 Iron Golem stat block. So, this is the Iron Golem stat block for 2024 Dungeons & Dragons. It is a large construct which is unaligned. They have an armor class of 20, an initiative of +9. For hit points, they have 252, speed of 30 feet. Ability scores, they have a strength of 24, a dexterity of 9, a constitution of 20, an intelligence of 3, a wisdom of 11, and a charisma of 1. Immunities, they are immune to fire, poison, and psychic damage. They are also immune to the charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, and poison conditions. They have a dark vision of 120 feet, as well as a passive perception of 10. For languages, they understand Common plus 2 other languages, but they can't speak. And they have a challenge rating of 16, granting them 15,000 experience points and a proficiency bonus of +5. For traits, the Iron Golem has 3. The first of these is Fire Absorption. This states that whenever the Golem is subjected to fire damage, it regains a number of hit points equal to the fire damage dealt. Immutable Form states that the Golem can't shapeshift, and Magic Resistance states that the Golem has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. For its actions, the Iron Golem has a multi-attack that allows it to make 2 attacks using Bladed Arm or Fiery Bolt in any combination. Bladed Arm is a melee attack roll with a +12 to hit and a reach of 10 feet. And on a hit, it deals 3d8 +7 slashing damage, plus 3d6 fire damage for an average of 30 damage per attack. Fiery Bolt, on the other hand, is a ranged attack roll with a +10 to hit and a range of 120 feet. And on a hit, it deals 8d8 fire damage for an average of 36 damage per attack. Poison Breath is on a recharge of 6. It is a Constitution saving throw, DC 18, affecting each creature at a 60-foot cone, originating from the Iron Golem. And on a failure, a target takes 10d10 poison damage, that's 55 average damage, and on a success, they take half as much damage. So, with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about what changes have been made to this stat block from the 2014 version. So I have gone ahead and underlined all the changes here for your benefit. The first change that we're going to talk about is that the Iron Golem is now expertised in initiative rolls. So it now has a +9, whereas it would have had a -1 otherwise. So that is a pretty good benefit there. Next up are hit point changes. In 2014, the Iron Golem only had 210 hit points, and in 2024, it now has 252. This is because it has been given an additional 4 hit dice, which has increased its hit points by 42 accordingly, so that's pretty nice for it. There is a change to the immunity section, and that is that immunity to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing has been removed from the stat block, and this is the case across all 2024 stat blocks, so that is why that is no longer present there, but they have given additional hit points in exchange, so that's pretty nice. Next up, we have a small change in the languages section. In 2014, the underlined portion used to stay that it understood the languages of its creator. Now it's common plus 2 other languages, which you, as a dungeon master, can decide which languages those might be. And most likely they're going to be other languages that the creator of the Iron Golem could speak. So, I mean, it's just a flavor change there. All right, in the trait section, the Iron Golem is actually missing a trait called Magic Weapons, and this stated that its attacks counted as magical. In 2024, this really has no mechanical benefit because there's no longer a distinction between magical and non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, so that is why that trait is no longer present here. Now, in the actual action section, this is where we get major changes. In 2014, the Golem had 2 attack options available to it. These were Slam and Sword, I believe. And now in 2024, these are the Bladed Arm and Fiery Bolt. So not only does the Iron Golem get a new melee attack option that's replaced the 2 that it had before, but it now also has a ranged option, which it did not have previously. So that is a pretty great benefit to it. Now, there are some pretty interesting damage changes here, and by the Bladed Arm deals pretty much the same damage as the Slam attack used to do in 2014. However, it now deals an additional 3d6 fire damage, which was not present in the Slam attack in 2014. So that is a pretty decent change there. And then, of course, Fiery Bolt is just completely new, so there's nothing I can really compare it to. So if we want to look at the damage changes for the actual multi-attack option, though, in 2014, the average damage, depending on which attacks the Golem used, whether that was the Slam or the Sword, ranged between 40 and 46 average damage. And in 2024, this average is now 60 to 72 average damage. So that is about a 23 average damage increase depending on how that Golem uses its multi-attack. So if it's in melee, it uses that Bladed Arm, and if it can't get into melee, it's using that Fiery Bolt. And I do like how these function together. The Fiery Bolt does have a lesser to hit modifier, but that's why it also deals slightly more damage to make up for that fact. So I quite like the changes to both of those, and I feel like they really complement each other now. Poison Breath, though, has seen some interesting changes. First off is the DC. In 2014, this used to be DC 19. I feel like this was accidentally calculated incorrectly, and that's why it was at 19. It should have been the DC 18 if it's scaling off of Constitution, which I believe it is. So that would have been a error in the actual text itself rather than any mechanical change difference. So I feel like it's just been put to what it should have been beforehand. The other main change here is the actual range of the cone. In 2014, the cone was only 15 feet, and now in 2024, it's a 60-foot cone, so this is a much larger range for that cone. I did forget to underline this portion, but in 2014, the Poison Breath was on a recharge of 5 to 6, and now in 2024, it's just on a recharge of 6. But to make up for that change, the Poison Breath itself is dealing a lot more damage than it used to before. In 2014, it dealt 10d8, to now in 2024, it's dealing 10d10. So this is an average damage increase of 10 per target. So that is pretty good. So that's a really good damage increase for that. So overall, I don't mind the changes to Poison Breath. I actually think it's a lot more effective now than it previously was, and I don't mind that they changed the recharge on it, because honestly, if you use that Poison Breath, you may only want to use it once per turn, or you may only want to use it once during a combat, because you're going to catch a lot of creatures in a 60-foot cone, and that's going to be a very good amount of damage. So overall, I am very impressed with the changes that have been made to the Iron Golem in 2024, and I feel like it actually came out pretty well. It's dealing a lot more offensively than it did before, and it has some nice defensive buffs as well. So I feel like it's doing very well in 2024 Dungeons and Dragons. So good to see all of that put together there. So yeah, that's going to be it for this particular video. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this type of content. I am also releasing on Wednesdays a weekly Dungeons and Dragons campaign called Sands of Doom. So if you like watching campaigns online, feel free to give that video a watch. There should be a couple up by the time this video comes out. So, thank you all for watching. Until the next video, I will catch you all later.